Welcome again, everyone, to season 3 of 3. I actually have a brand new addition to the wonderful program that we bring to you, and that would be Tammie Roitman. Now, Tammie Roitman is an intuitive clinical hypnotherapist. She's amazing. And I'd like to have Tammie tell you a little bit about herself. So, Tammie, tell us everything about you.
Thank you, Mona. I'm so grateful and honored to be able to participate in such an amazing program. A lot of people have a notion of what hypnosis is. And to me, the definition of hypnosis is to help someone go within themselves, where they have all the knowledge that they need to kind of move through their life. And no one gets to access that knowledge unless they're willing to ask people questions and people are kind of willing to answer. And so, what I do is I help people take their place in life by helping them clear out the internal conflicts like anxiety, anger, frustrations, PTSD, depressions, addiction. And once those inner conflicts are cleared out, then I can help them shift up to living out of what we call the soul and having a soul experience rather than living out of an ego, which is the mind and the body having an experience and has sometimes a concept of what the soul is and sometimes doesn't have the concept at all. And so that's where I want them is to take their place in life by living through the soul down into the body and the mind rather than thinking and living out of the body, the mind, and the ego, and then kind of having a concept of what the soul is. Doing that.
It's so fantastic.
Less the people that cross my path because, because I end up working with more like the medium and the higher level souls rather than the, let's call them younger beginner souls. Right. So the younger beginner, they have no idea what the soul or the consciousness is. And then you have the medium or the higher ones that are, they have an idea but they're still not living through it. And then you have the masters, which probably is the three of us sitting here, that are waking ourselves up to live this way down.
Right.
Make sense?
Oh my gosh, that's very wonderful. We're
thank
so
you.
happy you're part of the program now, Tammie.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the fabulous Kris Gray. She's our master astrologer, and she actually has had some pretty fun adventures. What have some of been the highlights since our last season that you've had?
It's been amazing. I've done so many readings for people. One thing that I keep finding over and over, and ironically, it aligns very well with what Tammie does, is people come to me and they have this struggle, and through astrology, I'm able to give purpose to their challenges and their struggles and their tribulations. And through giving that purpose, I'm able to help navigate them to healing. And so it's been amazing.
Now, what is the aspect of the chart that you concentrate on that deals with that? What's that called again? I forget.
I focus on two. So the main one where I find their healing is through their wounded healer. And so that in connection with their north node is where I find their highest potential. And that's in the work that most likely they're avoiding because it's very uncomfortable to get there. So through their placements that have shaped who they are and their experiences, I'm able to bring that together because there's a reason they were chosen to go through those experiences. And the answer is within the wounded healer.
Wow. So phenomenal. All right. And I am Mona Van Joseph, your intuitive tarot consultant. And I've been doing tarot here in Las Vegas for over 20 years. And I'm so thrilled to be able to bring these three professionals to you and allow you to have the opportunity to ask a question and then have it addressed by all three of us professionals with our opinion, our thoughts, our intuition, guided specifically toward you. So we'll be back right after this.
Are you feeling overwhelmed or stressed? Remember to take a moment for your mental health. At the Mental Health Moment, we believe in the power of self-care and community support. Our mission is to encourage and empower individuals across generations to prioritize their mental well-being. Our program called CARE takes you through community, awareness, resources, and education so we can support you every step of the way. Join us at the Mental Health Moment. Visit our website or follow us on social media because your mental health matters. Remember, take a moment for your mental health.
Welcome back. We are here with Katie. She's our first guest for season 3 today. Hi, Katie. Welcome to the program.
Mona.
Well, it's so good to see you again. Here's the cool thing is Katie and I met years and years ago when she decided to fly into Vegas and have a reading with me. And we've stayed in touch over the years. And I remember when you celebrated a big birthday, you came and had a party with all your girlfriends and you invited me to be a part of it. And that was just so wonderful. The biggest reason I love that you're here today is that I think you're going to get a multifaceted view of your question right now, which is wonderful. So the way it works is that you think of your question and then you decide which one of us 3 you'd like to have answer the question first. So it would be Tammie with her intuitive hypnotherapist vibration and grounding. Or do you want to talk to Kris Gray first because she's our master astrologer and she's already done your chart? So pretty much any question that you ask her, she can jump to your chart and let you know what she sees. Or you can have me start with me and I'll just do a quick 5-card spread of what I see going on with you. So Katie, who would you like to have be first?
Okay, it's the one I've already forgotten her name, the one in the middle. Sorry.
Oh, that would be Kris. Okay,
Okay.
sure. So what's your question?
Okay, so my question is, what do I do next to align my purpose in life? To align with my purpose in life.
That's my specialty.
My need.
Okay, so are we kind of looking more for something specific, like career, or is it just kind of in general, just kind of your soul's purpose in this life?
Soul's purpose.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's see. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about your chart because that's definitely going to play into where I see your highest potential and your soul's purpose here. So you're a sun Scorpio, and then your rising sign is Virgo. Have you ever had your chart done?
Never.
So your rising sign is based upon your date of birth, the location, and the exact time.
Okay.
And so what this says is that you actually act more like a Virgo than maybe necessarily a Scorpio. So if you were to read some traits about Virgo, then a lot of them would align. But you also have some other planets that are ruling your first house of self. And so one is the moon. So in this case, you would resonate very closely with not only Virgo, but Cancer as well. And so with that moon being in your first house, it really affects kind of who you are. So moon ruled people, they're homebodies, but yours is in Virgo. So you're probably a little more reserved more with your emotions and how freely you give them with people. But there can be this slight maybe moodiness that you might have just because that moon is so close to the first house. And so if you have any interest in cooking, you'd be an exceptional cook, like homebody, homemaker. And then you also have a lot of intensity with that Scorpio sun. And so I'm just going to go over some kind of high notes that I kind of saw on your chart. So you have, let's see, you have some aspects in your fourth house of home and family. And I don't want to go too much into that, but I think you'll understand when I say that probably growing up wasn't the easiest. So there might be some things in your childhood that maybe you might hold on to. This is usually like emotional stuff. This can definitely be connected with not necessarily you personally, but with family more so. And so what it does is when you have what is called a stellium in your fourth house, and so that's 3 or more placements in one area, and so that makes a lot of energy there. You have some really beautiful aspects, but you also have some challenging, and I call them challenging because they're what these experiences is what makes us who we are, and the more we work through them, the higher level of grit and perseverance that we can achieve. And especially with you being a sun in Scorpio, you have a ton of perseverance. Anything that you put your mind to, you're able to work through. And so these challenging aspects lend more to developing that character of grit and perseverance that you have with the power and the potential of that Scorpio. And so there's some aspects here that are beautifully aligned to what I would call your wounded healer. And so your wounded healer is in your 8th house. Your 8th house is kind of it's an intimate house. It rules like the stages and the life cycles and stuff. And so that can rule like birth and death. And it can be kind of a difficult aspect to have it there. So, and then the other thing that I'm going to look at too is your north node, and that's where we're going to find your purpose. So that is in your 6th house of work, and also it can rule health. This one is really kind of hard for a lot of people because it's uncomfortable. It's the work that maybe necessarily we don't want to focus on, or we try to avoid because we know that there's a lot of development that needs to happen in that area. And so this is this plays into like your purpose here. So I'm going to actually call this this is through work. Okay, so when I see this, you have another aspect. This can be either you find your career at a very young age and it's long lasting and you're in that career for a long time, or you maybe struggle to find your place in your career or what you want to achieve. And so your potential there, your highest potential, your purpose actually plays closely into that. And so I almost wonder if maybe part of your purpose is helping people transition through life events. So whether that's life and like birth and death, but also career changes. This could be even major events such as divorce, because you have this knack for connecting with people and on a very intimate level. And so you're able to bring healing through with people through being there with them for their life events. But this actually feels too like it's also strongly connected to your career. So what do you do for a living?
I'm actually retired. Like I'm not getting paid to get in to do anything, but I do things.
Okay.
You want a more specific of things I'm doing, or?
So do you, when you say you do things, do you do any kind of volunteering or
Yes.
Networking?
Yeah, I've owned or run a thrift store for 9 years, and it's a free thrift store. And it was just at that time in my life, and still a purpose of mine. Like basically it's named Enough, because if you had enough and I didn't have enough and we shared, we'd all have enough. Mm-hmm. And it's just, just something I did for my heart. It's free. The thrift store is free for everybody. And it's abundant, and it's been there, been doing it for 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, this you have definitely the humanitarian aspect, and it's actually ruled in the area where your north node is. And so the fact that you're already doing that work, it looks like you've already worked through the challenges, because like I said, a lot of people find it difficult because it's usually the work they're avoiding on themselves. So that is in the sign of humanitarian. And so if you're already doing that type of work and the volunteering and helping others and stuff, you've already worked through the challenges.
I would say something that where I'm teeter-tottering and what I've experienced is I have been privileged, I guess, to have been with over 11 people who were passing right at the time of passing. And I am considering becoming a death doula.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently right now going through it. And I love the event. I love the event like I would love someone giving birth. I feel like it's such a natural and beautiful and amazing event to help people go through, because it's such a non-talked about, non-understood passing and transition. And I've just, because I'm a relative of a lot of people, so I've been able to do it, but I've never reached out to people I don't know. And that's where I'm teeter-tottering.
I would definitely say, because your wounded healer is in that 8th house, and that rules the life stages, specifically death. And so when I work with people who have any kind of connection with the end of life stages, such as a death doula or hospice, I always see that. So there's a lot of healing that you can bring to people. And also too, when you've experienced, death more than most, then you understand the different stages that it goes through. And so you're able to guide people to that, bringing peace and bringing them to that next stage in our soul's transition.
Wow. Katie.
Yeah, that was,
Katie.
I know. When
Katie.
Katie, I heard it.
I'm going to have Tammie talk to you next, because I think she was really connecting in with you while you were talking. So I'm going to let Tammie take it from here. So I'm choosing who you're going to talk to next. So, all right, Tammie, take it away.
Hi, Katie. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. I feel grateful and honored to be able to give you some information and do some work with you, although sometimes we don't recognize that the work is not done in the surface, it's done at the higher level. So when you got on and I kind of saw you, I started to feel a lot of sadness in my heart. And what really drew me was something that might have happened when you were little that has kind of been shoved down, but it rears its head maybe once in a while, and that needs to kind of come and go. You would know better than I. When you were talking about being a death doula, I do a lot of end of life stuff too, and it's really amazing. And I think you'll take it to a different type of level, because it's not just being there, but it's remembering all the experiences that we've had in our life so that we can help somebody transition by helping them resolve those types of things before they do. And I think it would be in your best interest if you started looking at situations and interactions that you're having with other people and start to recognize what they're offering you in terms of yourself, and what's the mirror. So what's the purpose of this type of situation? What am I supposed to see from it? What is the value for me to move forward, for me to understand that this person is kind of crossing my road because they reflect one thing or another that I need to start letting go of, or in other words, to be more attentive to who's crossing your path and the purpose for it, instead of like, oh, I meet somebody at the coffee shop or they smile at me. Oh, I got to remember, I need to smile at myself a little bit more. And I can tell that like your heart is so pure and your energy is like so comforting and flowing, that I think sometimes you have to remember that you have to come first, and not always to say yes, and start stopping when people are asking you things and saying, do I really want to do this for just because of the fact I want to do it, not because I feel obligated or anything like that, but because you give more of your energy and you need your energy to do your work. And you're going to see moving forward that your work is going to get so powerful, and you should start seeing these things the last couple of weeks with all these full moons and these alignments pushing out the past and forcing you to kind of take that step forward. because that's going to be very important as you move into the next couple of months. You're just going to see that more things are going to kind of come to you and say, it's time to let it go. It's the past. It doesn't matter anymore. It's just an experience, and you need that experience to do your work moving forward.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Well,
I know, right? Okay, my turn, my love.
okay, wait, I have fun, not a funny, but a fun fact. 14 years ago today was our first reading.
No, are
Yeah.
you serious?
Yeah. Remember, we were there for Teresa's birthday, and it was 14 days. No, yesterday. 14 days. 14 years ago, yesterday was Teresa's birthday.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Right?
That's crazy. Wow. Okay. All right. So one of the things that I want to point out real quick, because I get to see your chart, and I just want to make one little comment about the chart and my first impression of the chart. You have a lot of skills that are right at the bottom of your chart. And when I look, I don't know if you can see the little sunbeam behind us. I get the feeling that there's this sunbeam that's shining behind you. And it all springs from the fastest way to motivate you is to piss you off. It's to make you mad. It's to tap into that deep emotion that you carry around with you. And people should not underestimate you, because when you get an idea in your head, it just explodes into all of the different skills that you bring to the table. It's a very, very big vibration that I saw from the base of your chart just by glancing over and looking at your chart. And I'm not the master astrologer. Kris is the master astrologer, but I'm looking at this going, holy crap, the amount of nutrient, if we were talking about soil and the nutrients in the soil and the little worms in the soil and all of the moisture in the soil, that's you. You got it all going for you there. And you're choosing what you're going to plant in the soil. See what I mean? I'm just saying. And I get the image of a rose with you, that the rose is supposed to be bloomed and beautiful, but the thorns are to protect you from the people that would pick you randomly. Just saying. Sorry, I'm going to do your cards. Okay. Sorry, I just kind of got on a roll. So I had to point that out, Kris, because that's
her stellium. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
All right, so I'm laying out my whole deck of cards, and the fabulous John, the founder of wwdbtv, has worked this out so that your cards appear on the camera, so you'll see what I'm seeing. So I'm going to draw 5 cards. And I'm drawing with my left hand because it's closest to my heart. So, my love, you have a tendency to do things the hard way. Okay. So the base of your reading is talking about you can immediately see into someone's soul where their pain is. And because you can do that, and you do it so organically and so naturally that you actually open a door of pain that's happened with yourself, and you immediately connect and sympathize and empathize with that person's pain. And you sometimes scare the crap out of people because you can do that. It's that cutting right through the facade or the impression that they're giving you to what you see as the truth, which is why you have these 2 cards. One of your daughters, little bit of a late bloomer, but I'm telling you that late blooming was part of the purpose or the reason that you felt held back. And now that you're finally seeing her move in a direction that feels productive and like a new beginning for her, then you actually can now guilt-free give yourself permission to do what you need to do. So you got a card right in the middle that's called We Are the World. And it's in a position that says there are a whole bunch of people that owe you favors. It's time to call in your favors. So the fact that you have a lot of resources where you can make a phone call and people will help you, you need to start tapping that, because you've been there for lots of people. There are so many people here that love you and think that you're organically part of their family, even though you may not have the same birth parents, that you adopt a lot of sisters, a few brothers, but mostly sisters. So you're surrounded by soul sisters that are here to help you. And it's time for you to actually ask for them to help you. Then you have this card. So when I speak to your purpose, this is the new work that you're going to be doing. It's interesting because if you were zooming in on this card, at first glance, it looks like the sun. But when you zoom way in on it, it actually looks like sperm around an ovum. All right. So it's the card of conception. It's the card of birth. And so I almost wonder if when you do actually do the training for death doula and helping people transit, there's I don't know where this organization is, but I heard about it. I don't know where it is, but it's something called Nobody Dies Alone. And it's an organization of volunteers that sit with people that don't have anyone when they're about to pass, so that person is never by themselves when they leave this lifetime to go on to the next. But going back to this card of birth, conception, it's almost as if your style is going to be slightly different when you talk to people, because you're going to say, it's time for you to decide what your next adventure looks like in your next lifetime. What do you want to experience and I'm getting goosebumps telling you this right now, because what you're going to say is, okay, you've learned this lesson. You've learned this lesson. Now, what do you want to be in your new life? Do you want to be rich enough like a Kardashian? Do you want to have an animal sanctuary in India? What do you want? Because this is the time to decide, as you're on the brink of letting go of this lifetime, to go on and accept the new opportunity, because you have it all over again and you can choose now what you want. So I'm telling you that part of when we talk about your purpose is that you're going to help people find their purpose. And I think it's because of this new career path that you're about to choose.
Can I?
Yes,
add?
they can't wait to jump in. All right, here's the brainstorming part. Okay. All right.
Okay, so
Yes, darling. I'm going to leave these out in case you want to reference them.
there is the source. I'm going to touch on that because, so we just, this month on the 29th, we're going to have the grand finale.
March 29th.
March 29th.
Got it.
We're going to have the grand finale, new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah. So we started that series back in March of 2023, and it fell in your 2nd and 8th house. So your 8th house rules death, birth, the different life, life cycles. And that's where your wounded healer is. So new moon solar eclipse, they are like new moons on steroids. They bring new beginnings. It will touch right on this beautiful wounded healer that you have in your 8th house. So probably over the last year and a half or so, you've probably kind of been thinking of the death doula because you've been getting hit with these eclipses, and the purpose of these eclipses is to transform those areas of your life, to bring about experiences where you start making evaluations, changes. If you're paying attention, you'll definitely be making a lot of changes, and you transform. And so on the 29th of this month is that the final eclipse to that series. And so that from that new moon solar eclipse, you're going to have a lot of new beginnings, and it's strongly connected to the card, the source. So what I recommend is maybe writing some things down of what you want to do, because it's powerful time to manifest. Especially, I wouldn't be surprised if we touch base with you in the next 6 months and you are full swing into doing the death doula. Then I want to touch on too. So we began a new eclipse series back last year, and this is going to be hitting your 1st house of self and your 7th house of partnerships. And so over the next 2 years, you're going to be going through this series where you're going to really be taking your happiness seriously and like where you want your life path to go. So you're probably going to have a new life path by the end of this this phase in early 2027. And so you're going to be evaluating your relationships as well. But I mentioned this because it's strongly connected to that new moon solar eclipse happening in your 8th house, touching that wounded healer and that part in your life. So I would love to follow back up with you in a few months.
Okay, before you talk, I got to point out something. The 29th in numerology, 2 plus 9 equals 11.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Gotcha. Just saying. All right, Tammie,
All
all
right.
about you, baby.
Yeah, always. Not really. I wanted to say, do you see how much energy you use trying to hold your emotions back? Then instead of just letting them go, if you have about 2 minutes after you get off of this, if you're interested, because I don't like to tell anybody what to do, because I don't like to be told what to do. But if you can put your timer on about 2 minutes on your phone and close your eyes and just take a couple of long, deep breaths in and out of your nose. But when you let it out, you're going to let it out with like a humming sound through your mouth, and let yourself release that, because it's going to get heavier and heavier for you when you try to resist it like that. But this way, at least in the next 2 minutes, if you deep breath in, humming it out, you're going to release a lot of what you tried to like hold desperately onto, at least for while we've been on.
Okay.
All right, Katie, what's your feedback about your experience here on 3?
Obviously, I feel very honored and very blessed to be able to have access to all 3 of you. I mean, there's a reason I've known you for 14 years, Simone. I come seeking, and I'm always surprised, but yet fulfilled. Like, I knew it was going to be confirming or affirming, and it was. And of course, there's some I didn't understand. It's very, very powerful to be heard and understood, and that, speaking about it as a child, I never had. So this is very someone saw me and heard me and knows me, even though some of you don't. Like, to know that someone knows me is a very powerful statement and feeling. And it's just really a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to go and find out, hey, as crazy as you are on the right track, and people do see what you're doing and can feel like you're on the right track. I mean, how many people would pay millions to know that they're doing the right thing, so that's my feedback.
Well, thank you. And you realize there are no accidents, that the people that come across your life, I mean, Tammie and Kris have come across my life for a reason. John, the founder of wwdbtv, has come across my life for a reason. And there's a reason why the 3 of us are collaborating to talk to evolved spirits like you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the program. And, I hope you stay in touch with us and let us know how things happen over the next few months, because we'd love to hear how your life's going.
I always text you when it's 11:11, Mona. So we'll always be in touch.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kate.
Everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Wow, you guys. This is right out of the box, our first episode of our season 3 of 3. Hey, I want to remind y'all that Kris is the person who pens the monthly horoscope for vegasastrology.com. And one of the things that she said when I was posting all her horoscopes for all of the different signs for March, vegasastrology.com, is the big thing I kept getting was, don't do anything with your hair. Don't get any plastic surgery till when?
April 12th.
Okay.
And you know what? Maybe wait a couple days after that.
Is April 12th also the end of Lent?
I don't know.
So when is Easter this year? Does anyone know?
No.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Look up Easter, but that sounds like we're going on a beauty retreat from, don't change anything. It's really interesting, because I was actually thinking about really changing my hairstyle. And I read that and I went, oh, not going to do it.
The reason is because we have Venus retrograding. It started beginning, so about today at the beginning of the month, and it's going to retrograde all the way through April 12th. A lot of people start thinking about, change my hair, or they start thinking about different cosmetic ideas.
Surgery, yeah.
And so the problem with Venus retrograde is Venus rules all the aesthetics and beauty and stuff. And so if you do any kind of change, aesthetic change, even minor procedures, you might not get the results that you're looking for. And there's a good chance it might need to be revised or redone.
Geez.
So
it's wait till May.
Yeah. Well, at least April 12th, and you'll be fine. But it retrogrades every couple of years. So it's about that time.
Awesome. All right, you guys, if you'd like to get a hold of any of us, please go to www.THREE.Vegas and you can schedule a private session with any of us, especially if you seem to resonate with all or one of us and you want to explore it further with each of our different disciplines. We'd love to have a chance to visit with you privately. I'd love to thank the fabulous John Stiles for allowing us to create this wonderful and unique event here on WWDBTV. Make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel so you can see more of programming like this, and it helps to support a more loving view of the world. Tammie, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Kris, thank you. We'll see you on the next episode of Three. Thank you for tuning in.
The cast members of Three are not professional attorneys, CPAs, psychologists, marriage counselors, physicians, or financial advisors. You are provided with opinions that are unique to each of the intuitive performers. Three is presented to you for your entertainment.